is Jamie Nunez. I'm a 10th grader at Passaic Arts and Science Charter School. I'm also a member of Pathways to College and National Honor Society. I also like to draw and paint for fun, mainly when I'm stressed or overthinking anything. So today I'm here to bring awareness to Asian American, / Pacific Islander Heritage Month due to the island community by interviewing a special guest who is deeply involved with the AAPI community in our nation's capital. May is Asian American / Pacific Islander Heritage Month, the celebration of Asians and Pacific Islanders in the United States. The month of May was chosen to commemorate the immigration of the first Japanese to the United States on May 7, 1843, and to mark the anniversary of the completion of the Transcontinental Railroad on May 10, 1869. The majority of the workers who laid the tracks were Chinese immigrants. Today, we want to recognize and celebrate AAPI community by highlighting their achievements and challenges through our guest speaker. It's an honor to introduce you to our guest today, Mr. Ben de Guzman. He is the director of the Mayor's Office on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs. He has been a leading voice at the local and national level on issues of racial equity, immigrants' rights, veterans' affairs, and LGBT justice for 20 years. He comes to MOAPIA for the Mayor's Office of LGBTQ Affairs, where he served as a community outreach specialist. During his tenure there, he helped execute 2 major first-time events for the office, the District of Pride LGBTQ Culture Performance event and the 32nd annual 17th Street High Heel Race, presented by the Mayor's Office as lead organizer. He also served as both the Public Information Officer and the Americans with Disabilities Act Compliance Officer for the agency.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for being here with us today. We are honored that you agreed to come and represent the AAPI community here at iLive Schools. We want to establish a culture of awareness, diversity, inclusion, and acceptance, and that's why it's important for us to highlight this very important and special event for the AAPI community.
Great. Yeah, this is exciting.
Yeah. So obviously, I have a couple of questions to ask you today that you can answer in your full and honest opinion, if you don't mind. Okay. What kind of work do you do for the AAPI community?
Yeah, well, I would say 2 kinds of work. One is my day job with the Mayor's Office on Asian and Pacific Islander Affairs is really government service. We make sure that on one hand, I represent our mayor, Mayor Muriel Bowser, to our Asian American and Pacific Islander residents. We have about 35,000 residents who are Asian and Pacific Islander in a city of about 700,000 people. So about 5% of the population.
That's cool. Yeah, that's cool.
At the same time, we serve as an advocate for the AAPI community in city government, and we make sure that all of our residents are able to take advantage of everything that the city has to offer, regardless of race, regardless of immigration status, and to make sure that there's nothing in their way of fully participating in the life of the city. Yeah, I also volunteer, so that's another kind of important part of the work that I do for the AAPI community. I serve on the executive committee for the Filipino Veterans Recognition and Education Project. And with that work, we are telling the stories of Filipino veterans who served in World War II with American soldiers, but only to have their service as their status as U.S. veterans and their path to U.S. citizenship revoked by the U.S. government. So the U.S. government, instead of saying thank you for your service, said thank you, but no thank you to all of these soldiers who fought under U.S. command. So we've been fighting to correct that injustice for about 70 years. So that's what I do.
That's nice. Yeah, I feel like,
as a volunteer.
With this heritage, not only this heritage, but I feel like every different heritage is very interesting and special. So I feel like, learning more about this heritage specifically or any other heritage, I feel like that's very, very important.
Yeah, no, I think it's always important to understand. A big part of heritage is history, right? Yeah. So it's important that we know where we came from so that we know where we're going.
Okay. How has your heritage shaped the person you are today?
Oh, that's a very deep question, potentially. Well, and I say that because I mean, I'm glad to be doing this with you all from Washington, D.C. to New Jersey, because I was born and raised in New Jersey. In a very different time, I would say. I think New Jersey prides itself on being very diverse. And, you know, uh, New Jersey has the fourth largest Asian population in the country, but it didn't feel that way when I was a kid, right? When I was growing up, um, the Asian population was much smaller. People were had a different, you know, sense of what was cool to do or not do. And so I think, a lot of us face a lot of discrimination, even more than we do today. So we've had to fight to make the advances that we've made. So I think I do a lot of what I do now because of that little kid who was bullied in the playgrounds in New Jersey, that little kid whose friends made fun of him because they didn't understand why, his family ate rice for breakfast, who
Oh,
didn't understand, what it meant for, that kid whose parents were immigrants and who maybe didn't speak English in the same way. So, yeah, so I do a lot of the work that I do because this kind of sharpened sense of equity and fair play
so
to
would
make
you
sure that.
say, I'm sorry, would you say that this is like something that motivates you to keep on doing your job and it's like very, very important to you?
Yeah, no, I would say that it makes it personal, like God bless people who, have a kind of more traditional 9 to 5 job and they'll go, and they're accountants or they make widgets or whatever they do, they go and make the donuts or, whatever. But for me, I think public service and righting wrongs, I think is not just I mean, it's a privilege to be paid to do that because it's something that I feel like we should be doing anyway. We should always be striving to do the right thing, and to be able to get paid for it is something that I take very seriously.
Yeah, yeah. Would you say that it was stressful for you? Obviously, since you were a little kid and, you were dealing with all this bullying, which is completely horrible. I'm so sorry for that. But would you say that that was like very, very hard for you to deal with every day? Or like, how would you say that you dealt with it?
Yeah, I mean, it's you look back on your childhood
Yeah, yeah.
and um you build up resilience to it, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you're going through it, you feel like I don't know where the path will lead, like
Yeah, of
it's
course.
just gonna, but I think as corny as it sounds, as long as you keep fighting, it does get better, as they
Yeah,
say.
yeah, yeah.
So, it made it difficult at times, but I also, had a family who loved me.
Mhm.
I had friends who cared, who understood what I was going through because they were going through the same thing. And so, I think it's important to find your people also.
Yeah, yeah. Support takes a really, really big part in that. And like, it's really good to have that support to, keep on moving forward. Even though, yeah, it does sound kind of corny, but like I said, just having that support is really, really important.
Definitely.
Okay, so how has your heritage shaped the person you are today?
Yeah. I mean, I would say that um, I would start out with, yeah, again, this sense of equity. It's made me always try to think about the underdog. I've always tried to support the people who were most marginalized. At the same time, it's shaped the kinds of issues that I work on, right? Like immigration rights has always been a big thing for me. Racial justice, to make sure that people aren't discriminated against just because who they are. As a gay man, LGBT equality has always been very important to me. So again, to be able to serve these communities and to get paid for it and to build a career from it is not something everybody gets to do. So it's not always easy, but it's been very rewarding.
Okay, so what would you say um, how the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month means for you?
Yeah, it is, months like these, and it feels like many different communities are taking them now, right? Like we head from May and Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month to June, which is LGBT
Oh,
Pride
yeah.
Month, right? And
Yeah,
then
that's nice. Yeah.
September and October, Latinos celebrate Heritage Month, right? And Black History Month is February, and all these different things. But for me, it means two things. On one hand, we get to lift up our our stories. We get to recognize the people who have really done amazing things and who've contributed to who we are as a country. But also, I think it's a time to take stock of how much work we still have to do.
Yeah.
Like it's an opportunity to make sure that we're working towards the still unfulfilled promises of the American dream. Not everybody has gotten a chance to make it yet, right? And so what can we learn from those who've come before us, and what do we still need to do? So to me, that's part of Heritage Month also.
Yeah, I feel like, like I said, um, you know, me being at such a diverse school, I feel like it's very, very important to know other people's experiences and their heritage because obviously not everyone is the same.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, like I said, having the same cultures and experiences would be kind of like boring because, everyone would be the same. So, I feel like that's what makes like the whole thing so interesting. And it makes other people very, very unique.
And you keep learning, right? You keep learning
Yeah.
about different things. You learn how to manage difference. It's an important skill that everybody will need to know because life is change, and if you don't know how to deal with things that are different than what you'll be left behind.
Yeah, yeah, I totally agree with you. So, how do we further support the AAPI community?
It's another good question. I've been doing this work for a long time, and Heritage Month, we, like I said, we take a moment to think about, the unfulfilled promises and whatever. But, this year in particular, it's been very difficult with the pandemic.
Yeah,
There's these health challenges, there are these economic challenges, and for many different people there have been these racial challenges, right? Like
yeah,
the Asian American community has had more than almost 4,000 incidents of harassment, violence, and bigotry against our community just in the past year. So, and primarily driven by, the past 4 years of, political leadership that has permitted things like Chinese flu or Kung flu, or,
yeah, yeah,
that has not appreciated the differences that have really made this country, um, what it is. So I think, um, for me, the AAPI community needs our support more than ever. So even if you're just taking a moment to learn about the violence that's happening against us, right? If you click that article about that Filipino woman who was attacked in front of a building and the doorman just stood there and watched, right? If
yeah,
you
yeah,
instead of just scrolling past it, if you take a moment to learn about some of the bystander trainings that are happening, in New York, one of the organizations there is working with one of my partner agencies in DC to do trainings for literally thousands of people to help them make sure that they can intervene if someone they know is being harassed, so that they can do something about it and feel empowered to do so. So if you just learn one thing and you take one small action to support the community, it's something that wouldn't have happened before.
Yeah, I
So
feel like, like now, especially since this is still currently going on, I feel like this is something that we shouldn't put to the side or that we shouldn't stop talking about because it's still happening and it's still very, very important because many
mhm.
lives are, being endangered due to their heritage, which is completely unfair.
Yeah.
Does this, with the whole Asian violence thing, does this make you want to work even harder?
It I've always done this work to make sure that other people don't have to go what we went through, right? In terms of the harassment that I, saw when I was a kid, the anti-Asian violence that I learned about in college, the violence that I see, literally from my staff. My staff are Asian American, and we're not immune from the violence that happens in the streets. And I've had coworkers who have been yelled at, and blamed for coronavirus, right? So, I think that it's you can't just be driven by um, the negative stuff. Like you have to be driven by the positive stuff too. And so all of the work that we get to do, all the difference that we make in people's lives, that motivates me as well. When I see the seniors in our Chinatown, who've been able to get vaccinated so that they can see their grandkids for the first time,
Yeah.
stuff like that is rewarding and keeps you going as well. But you need the fire in the belly, and so there is no. I can't remember a time where there has been more occasions, for us to take to the streets.
Yeah. Like I said, like, this is something that we still need to talk about because, this is an ongoing situation, which is, obviously, like I said, no one should ever have to go through this. It's very, very difficult to deal with. So, like I said, just keep on like spreading awareness. That's like very, very important.
Yep,
Okay,
definitely.
so anti-Asian violence has had a profound impact on many people in the AAPI community. Where do you find your inspiration to drive or keep working during sad or difficult times? Or what do you think is the best way to spread more awareness of the situation?
Yeah, I think opportunities like this, the whole Heritage Month, we've been talking about not just, the Asian American historical figures, the people who helped build the Transcontinental Railroad that you were talking about, the history of Japanese immigration that helped form the foundation of API Heritage Month, but also the things that we're still fighting for, right? Like the anti-Asian violence that's happening, the ongoing struggles that the Filipino World War II veterans that I work with, the equity we still need for them. It's those things that keep me going, but it's also, the community that you build around you. You have your given family, and then you have your chosen family who you also
Yeah.
create out of your friends and your loved ones, whether they're blood or given to you or you choose them yourself. I think it's important to have a community that supports you and keeps you going.
Yeah, I feel like, with obviously the situation that's currently happening still, I feel like social media takes a big part in this as well because, like, things spread a lot quicker on social media. A lot more people see it, read into it, and educate themselves on what's going on now. So I feel like social media also takes a big part in that, even if it's just reposting something, looking into it, learning about it, um, like petitions or donating, like that all like takes a very big part in this as well.
Yeah, and it allows you to reconnect and connect with people in ways that we weren't able to before,
Yeah.
right? Like for example, social media, and Zoom. We talk about all these Zoom meetings and
Yeah,
whatever,
yeah, yeah.
but they have allowed me, for on just as one example, to keep in touch with my family all over the world. Right.
Yeah.
So we have cousins in Canada, in Germany, in the Philippines. And so, social media can be a double-edged sword sometimes, but, it lets you stay connected with people that you wouldn't be able to otherwise.
Yeah, I feel like personally for me, even if it is false information, I mean, obviously, because there's a lot of news that are spread on social media and a lot of people repost it, and that's how I find out about things mostly. But you can always look at the news as well. Like, sometimes they speak about it or speak about any situations that are going on now. So I feel like that's like another source that you can use also to find out more
Mm-hmm.
about this. Yeah.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot of information out there. It's always important to make sure that you're getting the right information. Like we talk about fake news now, but the reality is there's a lot of a lot of the information that's out there um, is put out there with a particular agenda. And so you
Yeah.
have to make sure that you're learning enough about what's out there to be able to discern between what's factual and what is out there simply to support a particular position, right? So it's
Yeah, yeah.
which is why education is so important.
Yeah, would you say that, reading articles as well is like very important to this
Yeah,
specifically?
I would say so, but it's also making sure that you're getting um, a lot of different perspectives. So one article, you know, is probably not enough because that article might be from someone who has an ulterior motive, right?
Yeah.
But if you read that article but then you read another article and you can figure out sort of maybe the truth is somewhere in between,
Yeah.
right?
Of course, yeah.
So it's
Um,
developing a critical mind, right?
yeah, yeah, of course. I totally agree. Like I said, you know, this shouldn't be put to the side or this shouldn't be forgotten because, this has been going on for many years. So I feel like it's very important for us to even talk about it now. Even in this live, I feel like it's already spreading more awareness and, letting other people know that this is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything else you would like to add?
Yeah, another opportunity. We were talking about this before. On Monday, the 31st, I think is Monday the 31st, on May 31st, there'll be a series of rallies around the country to promote solidarity against Asian American and Pacific Islander hate. So I will be speaking at one here in Washington, D.C. Um, but there'll be one in Jersey City as well. And so
Okay.
I'm going to put the link in this chat here. So hopefully folks can see it. And if not, I'll send it to you offline and you can share it with other students and other folks in the
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
community. But yeah, so if you can go and join it, it would be great. A lot of it is being planned by friends of ours and colleagues who are in North Jersey, Bergen County, Passaic County. So it'll be in Jersey City, but people from all across the state are going to be involved in putting it together.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely share this link everywhere just so everyone is aware and
Mhm.
hopefully, people will actually, look into it. Okay, well, that's all the time we have today, but we totally appreciate what you um, were answering. These were very, very thoughtful answers. Thank you, Mr. Benda Guzman, for being with us. It was
Thank you for having me.
fun, and I wish we had more time to talk about this as this is something that is very important. Thank you for all you do for the community in general, and particularly for the AAPI community. You're doing such an amazing job, and we are in awe of your work. Thank you, and we wish you the best of luck for the future.
Thanks a lot. Happy API Heritage Month.
Happy AAPI Heritage Month. Okay. Thank you for taking the time to answer these questions again, Mr. Bender Guzman. Thank you to our audience today. Thanks for watching and commenting. Hopefully, you were able to learn more about the AAPI heritage. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening and watch out for the next episode of iLive TV. Bye, guys.